Wade.
Hey, Carly. Today we're going to dive into figuring out how we can simulate randomization in Python. There's two different commands that we're going to learn, and they're going to help us randomize real-world events. So for example, I can think about rolling this dice that I have right here. It's a standard six-sided die that's going to roll a digit either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. Not even 7.
No,
Let's do
7.
6. I kind of got carried away. So what we can do is in Python, we need to import a new library to help us out. Up until now, we've only worked with pandas.
Right. Do I still need to import pandas or not even at all?
If we're not dealing with pandas, you don't need to import pandas.
Okay.
But we're often going to be using multiple libraries now. But for this, all we need to do is import random. So importing random allows us to get the random library from Python, which will allow us to randomly generate numbers.
And do you have to import random as anything or just import random?
Oh, that's a great question. And we're going to not abbreviate random, which is kind of rare for us to do.
Yeah, we're lazy.
I know. We could say import random as R or something.
RD.
Or RD. But Python programmers don't actually do that.
Intriguing.
So they just type out random as a whole. And I'm not sure why the community chooses not to abbreviate random. But obviously, RD would be a great way to abbreviate it. So when we have the random library, now we can use all the functionality that comes with the random library.
Okay.
And one piece of functionality is we can randomly decide to get an integer and ask the computer to give us an integer within a range. So to do that, we type random, which uses the random library. And then from the random library, so random dot, we're going to ask it to give us a rand int. And then inside the parentheses that come after rand int, we're going to give it two different parameters. The first parameter is going to be the minimum value, and the second parameter is going to be the maximum value. So this is going to be the min, and then this is going to be the max. And we separate by a comma, and both of these are inclusive. So if we want to generate a random dice roll in the range 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then our minimum value is 1, the maximum value is 6. So random.randint, 1, 6, will generate a random number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. So if you run this line of code for the first time, what do you get, Carly?
I got 4 when I ran it for the first time.
You got 4. So effectively what Carly's done is she simulated rolling a die, and she got the value of 4.
Yes.
And now if you run it a second time, what do you get?
I got 4 again.
So you got 4 again, and this actually makes sense because it's probabilistically, there's about a 1 in 6 chance that when I roll the dice, I get a second 4. So let's see if we get lucky or unlucky, and let's run it a third time.
Ooh, I got a 2 this time.
So then she got a 2. And every time she's running this line, we're getting a new random number between 1 and 6. And because it's truly random, it's like rolling a die again and again. And it's totally possible to get the same number multiple times in a row. So randomizing integer is really useful, and we can randomize a lot of different things by thinking about integers. So I've got a deck of cards here. This is a standard deck of 52 cards. And in this deck of 52 cards, I can randomly pick a card out by shuffling the stack and choosing a card within the stack. So we could do the same idea by randomizing all of the cards in the deck. So here there are 52 cards. So I could assign every single integer between 1 and 52 to a card. So one way I can do this is random.randint 1, 52, because 52 is the range of numbers that I can get.
Number. Wait, and I had a question too. So do I have to type this into Python?
No, so anytime you have a hashtag or a pound symbol before the line, it's just a comment. So I just wanted to kind of make a note to myself that this is the reason that I'm writing this line of code.
So I could type that if I wanted to maybe share this code with others and they could know exactly what I was thinking.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's see. I'm going to do random.randint, open parentheses 1, 52, close my parentheses, and I get 5.
5. So this is a random number between 1 and 52. And if you run it again, you get
42.
42. And so forth. So every time we run this code, we get a different line.
Got it. And then, so there's not a card that says 42 on it.
There's not. And that begins, so this is one limitation of randint, that all we can do is randomize numbers. The second way we can use to get a random value from Python is to use random.choice. So random.choice allows us to have a list of all of the options we want returned. So I'm thinking of like a coin flip. So a coin has two sides, and there's a heads and there's a tail. And when we flip this coin, it's going to land on either heads or tails. Here we got tails. So what I can do is I can go ahead and open my parentheses, then use a square bracket. And inside the square bracket, I can say it might land on head or it might land on tails. So I specify all of the options that I want to randomize between inside of the square bracket. So if I do random.choice, open parentheses, square bracket, heads, comma, tails, close square bracket.
Interesting. So it returns heads, but in single quotes.
So that's an interesting feature. So even though Carly used double quotes here, Python, as we mentioned earlier in the series, you can use either single quotes or double quotes.
Right.
And Python's choosing to show it as single quotes.
Yes.
But the first time you ran this, you got the heads result. So this was as though you flipped this coin virtually and you landed on heads. Let's see. What if you run it again?
If I run it again, I get heads as well.
Heads again? Let's run it again. We've got two heads, no tails.
Sounds good. Heads again.
Three heads.
Tails.
And before we get one tails. So we basically have a sequence of heads, 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 tails. And these are our two options to randomize values inside of Python that we're going to use in this series. We can get an integer within a range using random.randint, or we can get one of a list of values using random.choice. We're going to go through a lot of examples so we can nerd out with this more, but these are the two key elements that we're going to use to generate randomness within Python.
Yes, and we're also going to look at what's the probability of getting each of these events, which is going to be interesting as well.